Welcome, everyone. Tonight's regular council meeting. I'll call the regular council meeting to order. I guess I can use my gavel again. Recommendation that the agenda for the regular council meeting of June 14th, 2021 be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Moreau, second by Councillor Ranhawa. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item 3A, recommendation that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of May 31st, 2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Skelton Marvin. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item 3B, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting of May 31st, 2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Ranhawa, second by Councillor 80. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And item 3C, recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting of May 31st, 2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Niche, second by Councillor Cunningham. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, first up, we got a report from iPlan regarding DVP 21089. Is that for Chris, who's joining us remotely? I'm not sure if you can hear me. Oh, we're on mute as well.
Okay, so he says he's in an empty room, so he's there.
Chris, can you hear us?
Hey, how's it going?
Perfect, there we go.
Good.
I'm not sure if you heard the conversation before, but we're talking about DVP 21089.
Okay, I didn't hear anything. I can turn my video on. We're good to
Perfect.
go?
Yep.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public notifications were sent out for development variance permit application 2108. This is an application for a property located at 1177 11th Avenue East for a proposed exterior staircase to a building currently located 3.05 meters from the front property line. The applicant has requested a variance to reduce the required front property line setback from 3.6 meters to 0.6 meters. No public concern was expressed during the feedback period. Because there was no negative feedback, it is recommended that council approve development variance permit 2108.
Great, so recommendations that council proceed with approval of DVP 2108. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Niche. Any comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much, Chris. Next up, we have a report from the city manager regarding the annual report.
The annual report is now available for the public. And we'll have the meeting on the 28th
It's now available for what, sorry?
to the public.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you there. Yeah, so the annual report, so the recommendation that council approve the circulation of the 2020 annual report and that council set the date of June 28, 2021 for the public meeting on the annual report. Moved by Councillor Moreau, seconded by Councillor Ranhawa. Discussion? Just for folks who are aware, any time you have questions about what's going on with the city, whether it's our budget, our projects, our operations, everything gets compiled into the annual report, including all the financials. So this document really does give you clarity on what exactly the city's priorities are, what we've been working on, our plans. So if you're looking for answers to some of your questions, you'll most likely find it in the annual report. So I would encourage you to read this. You'll find it online as well. And come give us any feedback if you have any at the next meeting.
I know we do this almost every time, but could we clarify for the public how they can, or the ways in which they can go about letting us know what they think?
Which is,
They can email us, they can go on our website, or they can come to the meeting. All of the above.
okay. Any other comments? Okay. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Item C, report from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the 2020 Statement of Financial Information.
Thank you. The Financial Information Act requires municipalities to prepare a document called the Statement of Financial Information. This document provides additional information beyond that provided in the annual audited financial statements and must be approved by Council before June 30th. Council is asked to approve the 2020 Statement of Financial Information, thereby fulfilling the requirements of the Financial Information Act.
Thank you. The recommendation by council by resolution to approve the 2020 Statement of Financial Information. Moved by Councillor Ady, second by Councillor Ranhawa. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Next, we have a report from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the April 2021 Financial Variance Report.
Thank you again. Overall, operating and utility revenues and expenses are within budget with no variances of note through the first 4 months of the year. Previous year figures are impacted by pre-pandemic operations and therefore do not offer much value for comparison. Large capital projects in the works by the end of April were proceeding and costs continue to roll in. Capital projects slated for the summer were in the planning stage. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Don't need a resolution then, eh? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I do just have one kind of high-level question. Given the recent data that Statistics Canada has come out around inflation, I think it was somewhere north of about 3.5%. I'm just wondering if you're seeing any variances in that regard in terms of city operations and contracts and that type of thing. Are we seeing that type of inflation on a local level?
No, everything's in line, so that would basically attribute to the fact that we haven't seen that kind of escalation.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Okay, so reports, questions, and inquiries from council. I'll just quickly say that tomorrow I think we'll be moving into phase 2 of the BC government's restart program. Which is a good sign that things are going into a favorable condition for everyone in BC in particular. And then it looks like July, if things continue on the track, will be phase 3, and then in September will be phase 4. So we're hoping that by the fall, we're looking at a more semi-normal state after a very long 1.5 years for everybody. And so I just want to thank the staff and particularly for all the due diligence over the last 1.5 years. It's been a very tough time on our operations, and you guys have done a fantastic job. And also that right now we're going through the second dose clinics for the community. So you can register for your second dose. And those are going till, I believe, July 9th. 4th. What time?
July 9th at the Mass Clinic, yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah. So till July 9th. So those are available. And I think Prince Rupert's doing a great job at keeping up with the pace. And so hopefully we get everybody to that next dose, which I think is going to be great for us. And just want to thank Northern Health for partnering with the city to make sure that that goes well, and all the volunteers. Everyone's been saying what a great job that's been done down at the clinic, keeping a smooth operation. So, things are starting to look up. The sun is shining tonight. It's a great day in Prince Rupert, so the light at the end of the tunnel is definitely near. So let's just do our due diligence and be part of the solution for sure. So I'll ask any other members of council for any comments or queries. Go ahead.
To add to your note about travel restrictions being lifted and that, people should note that if they're going to be traveling by BC ferries, the Northern Expedition is down and going to be in dry dock probably till the first week of August for repairs. So they'll be using the Northern Adventure on the winter schedule for both Route 10 and 11, which is the Port Hardy, Prince Rupert, and Prince Rupert to Haida Gwaii. So anyone that's planning on traveling by ferry should look into the schedule and that, because it's going to be a little different than every second day that people are used to for traveling on the North Coast. It's just something that I know people are, the last minute, are going to probably be scrambling, and it might be something to look into real quick. And the second thing I want to bring up is our Health Advisory Committee, where we're at with the terms of reference. People have been asking me what's happening with it and that, so.
Well, we're waiting for a presentation from Northern Health, so I won't be moving forward on any terms of reference until we have that presentation, which I believe is still, they had some holiday scheduling. So I'm not going to do anything until we have a chance to communicate with them and have a chance to communicate with Northern Health about some of the direction they feel, because ultimately I think we need to talk to Northern Health and see where things are at and see how we can be best involved. So we'll see what they have to say about that too. Other comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, I had quite an animated conversation with somebody the other day outside one of the grocery stores, and they were asking about the marijuana grow-ops, and I know that this is a conversation that we've all had in our own ways with the people we run into. And what came out of the conversation, I think, for me, was not so much that I wasn't able to explain some of the limitations we have in terms of dealing with them. It was that it seemed clear to me that the number of people who know that there are grow-ops in some of the buildings downtown is far greater than the number of people who understand what the city's position is on it, or what the city's limitations are. So I'm wondering, kind of a two-part question. One is, could we clarify one more time? I know we've done it before, but clarify where we're at with that issue. But also, is there a way for us to make a little bit more of a push in terms of public education of what the municipal powers are with regard to this issue?
Right. Well, I can answer that. So first, let's just talk about the city's position, which is in our OCP. And we made it very clear that the city does not support any commercial marijuana growing operations within the commercial or residential areas. So officially, the city does not accept that type of activity in those areas. However, when it comes to these marijuana growing operations, they don't fall within municipal jurisdiction because they are categorized as personal licenses for medical use, which means that the people that are using that actually apply to the federal government through Health Canada for the license. And on the website, you'll see that they're supposed to somehow give a notice to any municipal organization. However, under those particular licenses, they don't actually have to do that. So no notice is required to give to the city or any agency that they're going to be moving into any location. In fact, we believe it's a loophole, and I've talked to many other mayors across Canada who also are having the same issue, that there seems to be a loophole where as long as you're in a personal license for medical use, you can actually grow based on whatever the prescription a doctor has given you anywhere in any location and trump any bylaw across the nation. So you could have a grow up in a downtown in Rupert, or it can be in another community, or it can be in a residential area. It could actually be next to a school. There's no rules around where these places can be grown, because under the law, the federal government says that they cannot withhold a person's ability to treat themselves medically, which is why they allow them to grow to a certain amount within wherever they choose to go. So in terms of residents who are concerned about grow-ops in Prince Rupert's downtown, the city has almost zero jurisdiction, and in fact has not even been notified on where these locations are. And in fact, under the Health Act, we actually aren't entitled to know where they are either, even though people walk by and they're able to find out where these places are. There's a little ability for a municipality to enforce when it comes to a personal medical license. So our official position as an organization through the OCP is that we do not want any sort of growing operation in commercial or residential zones. However, this federal legislation allows this to occur. So we have been in contact with the MP, who has also been talking to other MPs because this isn't a Prince Rupert problem, this is a Canada problem. And we actually had a conference call with Health Canada, and Ms. Miller was on the call with us. And it is our understanding that the federal government this year will be reanalyzing the legislation, because that legislation is actually from the early 2000s. It's not part of the legislation that happened recently with the legalization of marijuana across the country. So this personal use marijuana license issue is a long-standing issue, and I think what's happening now is people are taking advantage of the fact that they can go and grow anywhere, and a doctor is literally all that is required to give a prescription on how much, and then the federal government caps the total amount. However, to add to that, you could have up to 4 personal licenses could actually designate one person to grow on their behalf, and you could have 4 within one building. So 4 people could get together, use all their personal licenses, and ask one grower to grow on their behalf, and they could all use that same space. And this is happening across the country as well. And so if each person has 50 plants each, for example, well, then they can have 200 plants in one location potentially. So this is another loophole that we've also mentioned to the federal government and to our MP. So unfortunately, this is not an issue that the city can easily deal with, and it's something that I think that we're going to be bringing forward with the FCM, for example, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Other municipalities are having these issues, and ultimately the city's official position is that we do not want any sort of growing operation in the downtown or residential zones. And we do hope that the federal government does come in a big way to actually address this, what we believe is a loophole in the problem. Because we want those spaces to be for commercial uses or housing or whatever it may be. And we don't find it appropriate to be into those uses. However, they are legally entitled to use those places without notifying us and without us being able to even have any ability to enforce our bylaws around those areas. So that is the state of affairs. It is a frustrating process. However, I do believe that working together with the communities across the country, working with the FCM, putting policy resolutions in, engaging with the federal government and Health Canada, that we may be able to make some progress here and find some sort of balance for the act and how it's written today. Is there anything else I'm missing from that, Ms. Miller? Is that an accurate understanding of the situation? Great. So that's the state of affairs. So in terms of communication, yes, we could easily communicate to the public more what that issue is. However, it is a technically challenging thing to communicate. And I think people want an easy answer to what is actually a complex problem. But we are actively working on it, and I'm actively engaged with the federal government, with our MP, and with other communities and other MPs who are all trying to figure out a way to approach this situation, because we're not alone in this problem. Does that accurately answer your query?
Yep, thanks.
Great, thank you. Other comments from council? Councillor Scott Mormon.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge, so I'd missed the last council meeting as I was attending the vigil for the 215 children that were found in Kamloops. Just to keep everyone kind of updated and posted, since then, there's been another 104 in Brandon, Manitoba, 35 in Lestock, Saskatchewan, and 38 in Regina, Saskatchewan. It's 392 and rising at this time. So I know that this is a tough time for folks at home. As we approach Canada Day, there have been kind of some conversations around what should take place during that time. Know that there's a group locally that's planning a march in tribute to these children that have been lost. And my thoughts and prayers go to the families and those that are having traumas resurface during this time, knowing that it's not easy, and that this is only the beginning, and that's the sad truth of this country. And again, to continue to press for accountability on various levels and bodies of government, and in ways that we can find different ways to show up as a municipality as well. So, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Other comments? Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Councillor Skelton Morvan, is there a way that we can find more information about this local group that's been formed? Are you able to share?
Yes, I believe there's a group that's been started. I'm not sure what the title of the group is yet. Let me just see here. having a hard time with the internet here. I think I might file a complaint with City West. I don't have the name of the group in particular, but there will be an event that's being shared throughout social media and things like that. So for folks to tune in, and then I will be posting once I have the group myself. I'll post that on my page as well, and I think I can send it over to the mayor as well.
Yeah, much appreciated. I know with all the news and the circumstances we find ourselves in, some things can fly under the radar. So one thing I wanted to put on the table or notice of motion tonight was UBCM recently completed a significant working group on council code of conduct, and it's something that's been adopted in a couple of dozen communities around the province. And so UBCM's manual has a whole suite of, I think, really good recommendations, and I think we can learn a lot from our peers on how to strengthen some of our existing rules and policies and procedures and things. And that was just released in, I think, late April. So I spoke with the CAO in advance, and I gave the language of this notice of motion to the corporate administrator beforehand. But I'll just read it out for you guys, and we can have this debate at the next meeting. But feel free to ask me any questions tonight if you'd like. So whereas councillors strive to be ethical, transparent, and accountable, act honestly and in good faith, and conduct ourselves with integrity, and whereas the council code of conduct can set shared expectations for the way elected officials should conduct themselves while carrying out their responsibilities as a collective decision-making body, therefore be it resolved that the CIO review council code of conduct options and policies adopted in other municipalities and report back to council for consideration. So that's the notice of motion for the next agenda, and I'm happy to answer any questions now if you guys would like, or I'm happy to wait until next meeting.
I think we'll discuss when the motion's at the meeting for sure. Thank you. Is there other comments or questions from members of council? Okay, hearing none, and entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Scott Marvin, second by Councillor Cunningham. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Have a great evening, everyone.